This is the Welcome to Humanity podcast with thought leader and transformative psychiatrist, Dr. Fred Moss. This show focuses on the betterment of humanity on a global scale. Each episode will leave you enlightened, inspired, and ready to make an impact in your world. Welcome to the show. Welcome to your life. Welcome to humanity. Here's Dr. Fred.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to another Welcome to Humanity podcast. And today, they told me, like I said in the last podcast, they told me that I would meet some just fascinating people if I did a podcast. And that was long before I even knew what a podcast was. And all of that is coming to fruition these days because the people I'm meeting really are spectacular human beings, like extraordinary human beings at some level, and just like you and me on other levels. And so I have so much fun interviewing people, but today is even a more special interview. And what I mean by that is I'm meeting someone that I have never met before. That is like her and I were saying just moments ago, simply a friend of a friend of a friend. And I think we both know that it's destined that we have this conversation today. And it's just an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege to introduce to you, my listeners, today's guest, Crystal Dwyer Hansen. So Crystal, welcome to the Welcome to Humanity podcast.
Well, thank you, Dr. Fred. I'm so happy to be here. And my whole overarching purpose in life is to try and, at least in some small way, make humanity just a little bit better. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about some of those things today.
Yeah, last I looked, humanity could use a little nudge. I mean, it turns out, it's whole, complete, and perfect as it is, but it could use a little help. I forgot who is responsible for that quote, but it's really a beautiful one that really, there's nothing that really needs changing. This is how it is. And it could use some assistance in some very real areas. And I'm sure we're going to touch a little bit on what are the things that really, that leave you passionate? What are the things that float your boat? What are the things that really draw you forward to make a difference in this world? And so I look forward to learning and discovering and, uncovering things with you today that you already pointed to, making a little difference in the world.
Yeah.
So if you've listened to this show before, you've heard me talk and rave about my new book titled Creative 8, Healing Through Creativity and Self-Expression. I'm thrilled that it's finally available at Amazon.com in both paperback and Kindle format. I finally received my paperback copy, and I have to say I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. It's a short little book, easy to read, bright, beautiful pictures throughout, and, well, the message is really powerful. I'm still offering listeners of the Welcome to Humanity podcast a free copy of the audiobook as a thank you for listening to the show. And all you need to do is go to welcometohumanity.net/creative. I've used this Creative 8 methodology with both psychiatric patients and coaching clients alike for several years, and I've had beautiful results. The method takes less than 5 minutes per day to implement, and no kidding, it really works. I know you're going to love it. So head on over to welcometohumanity.net/creative and download your free copy of the Creative 8 audiobook today. Now, let's get back to our conversation with Crystal Dwyer Hansen. Sometimes when I don't know somebody, I just have this opening question, and there's an opportunity. My intention today is kind of leaving the space for myself and my listeners to learn about who is Crystal Dwyer Hansen and what are you doing here? What are you doing here in a big way? What are you really up to?
Right. So
that's my question to you. Exactly. It's okay, Crystal, who are you?
Who am I? It's a great question, Dr. Fred. I really appreciate it. So professionally, I am a transformational life coach and clinical hypnotherapist. I've been in that space for a very long time. I'm also an author and speaker. I travel the world. I have traveled the world, not recently, with my husband, Mark Victor Hansen, who happens to be what we call the chicken soup for the soul guy. But he and I just feel tremendously blessed because we share a desire to reach as many people as we can with a positive message or transformational message that will hopefully make their lives better in some way or another. And I think that's why Mark and I came together. And people often ask us, how you guys spend so much time together? How do you have such a great relationship? But it sort of was who we were at a very deep core level that drew us together and keeps us doing this very happy dance together through life. So for that, we are extremely grateful.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah. And we just recently launched our first co-authored book. Obviously, Mark's written many hundreds of books. I've written a couple myself, but we just launched our first book called Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. And the reason we thought that was such an important topic, and we didn't know how timely it was going to be, Dr. Fred, because we launched this book right in the middle of this pandemic and actually had a meeting with our publishers on April 28th saying, hey, everybody else is getting their books postponed or canceled. If you guys want to cancel it, postpone this, we're in. And he said, no, that horse has sort of left the gate. We need to move forward. And as it turns out, because people have been home and stuck and worried and concerned, this, what we teach in this asking journey has been really helpful to so many people. The feedback we've been getting has been extraordinary. And so we're thankful we did it. We're on podcasts all the time, like this one today. So, yeah.
So now that you've had a little bit of practice on the podcast and a little bit in the introduction to the Ask book, what can you synopsize it in a little thumbnail, like in, I don't know, a few minutes of what is Ask all about? What are listeners likely to learn as they pick up this book?
Right. Well, Mark and I discovered that, we live in a remarkably well-orchestrated universe that seems to sort of help us conspire in discovering answers as long as we're willing to ask them. And asking is what, stimulates the possibility of having a dream come true. And that completely changes everything. It makes life so much more interesting and more dynamic. And Mark and I started looking back over our own lives and saying, how is it? Because we get asked this all the time. Our lives haven't been easy. I mean, we've both been through tremendous challenges, struggles, trials. We're just like any other human being. But often when people see you up on a stage or, talking to 1,000 people, they think, oh, your life must have been so easy. But it wasn't. But so we wanted to break down, like, what if we could break it down to one thing? What would be the key thing that made the difference in our being able to transcend these difficulties and triumph over them? And we realized it was the ability to ask questions, to keep asking when we didn't have the answers. And question by question, answer by answer, we were able to move past those difficulties and find a much better version of ourselves, a much better version of our lives, and new beginnings every time that led to ever greater things. So we wanted to share that with everybody because it's not just limited to us. Everybody has this ability.
It makes complete sense. It's totally inspiring, as you've already heard. And I really, I mean that authentically. One question does come up though. And this question is, okay, that seems so sensible, so falling off a log obvious that I wonder what in your research or in exploring, with the creation of this book, what reasons have you come up for when you ask why people don't ask? Like, ask the question, why don't we ask?
Well, that is a perfect question, actually. And, we're all born as children with this beautiful curiosity, the perfect ability to ask. We are master askers as children. We want to know what, when, where, how. Tell me everything. I want to know. We have this beautiful curiosity. And we also want more, more, more. And that's not bad. That is human spirit evolving, wanting to evolve, wanting to grow. But then life happens, we get shut down depending on what family we come from. Maybe your parents say, shut up, that's enough. Don't ask anymore. You go to school. The teacher's the authority. Don't ask unless you're called on. You go to jobs or in the military, someone else is the authority. I don't want your feedback. Don't ask questions, just do it. And then even just, rejection, disappointments. we start to get shut down, and our natural ability and desire to ask gets crushed. We get scared. We get, timid. And what we discovered, Mark and I discovered, there are actually 7 roadblocks to asking. And I can go through those if you want, but each one of us usually has at least one of those roadblocks, if not more.
So it's a matter of, really it being whittled away in our experience is what I'm hearing, that we are born as remarkably curious, like magically interested in the things around us, wondering,
Yes.
wandering and wondering, and that and we are, look at any child, and then over time we receive whatever kind of rejections, whatever kind of disappointments, and that's when we become, crushed or scared or timid or those kinds of things that prevent us from wanting to be hurt again, I guess, rather than, right? It's like, oh yeah, if I ask, then I'll be stomped on or something like that. And over time, we kind of become maybe more resigned or more cynical in approaching this notion of asking freely. Is that accurate?
That is so accurate, Dr. Fred. And not only are we curious, we're desirous. We're desirous of more. And over time, it's almost like we get ashamed into thinking that we deserve more, And so, but that's how we're made. That's human spirit jabbing us in the heart, saying, I want to have more because I'm an evolving human being. The whole universe evolves all the time. The universe expands. I mean, you hear these new reports. Our universe is growing. It's expanding. It's getting bigger, like infinitely bigger all the time. Well, we're part of that life force, that life creation. We want to expand, but then life starts to shut us down and makes us seem like something's wrong with us. And that is why Mark and I wrote this book, because we want to bring that back to life for everybody.
Right. And it is back to life. I think that's really the point that we're emphasizing here. It's not a matter of resuscitation necessarily. Or maybe it is, but it's a matter of removing that which has covered up what's already been there the whole time, right? Like our curiosity and our wonder.
That is exactly right. And, it starts with awareness. And I was talking about the 7 roadblocks to asking, and I'll just go through them. Unworthiness, okay, is number 1, which is just conditioning from our childhood or other events that tells us at some subtle level we don't deserve better. Naivete is one. We're just simply unaware of what's possible because maybe we just grew up with limited possibilities. And we tell a story around each one of these roadblocks. And the one about naivete, I tell this story about this beautiful Filipina woman who worked for us, helping me take care of my children when they were very young. I had 2 daughters that were 16 months apart. It was and a son was older than them. So we were busy. Our household was busy. I was so blessed to get this woman. She was just lit up our house with this joyful smile every minute. She was one of the happiest people I know. She moved out of my state, but anyhow, she would show up every day and she would, want to make these beautiful dishes from her homeland. Well, one morning she shows up with this fruit, cuts it up, puts it on a plate. It's this juicy orange fruit. And I said, Melda, she said, try this. I said, what is this? This is the best fruit I've ever tasted. And she goes, it's a mango. And I go, a mango? How come I've never had a mango? Because I thought of myself as quite worldly at the time. I was in my 20s and I traveled all through Europe and other places. Like, how come I've never had a mango? And I was like, where did you get this? Thinking she must have imported them from the Philippines. She goes, at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? How have I missed this? Like I've been walking by the best fruit I've ever tasted at the grocery store. What else am I missing? Because I'm not aware of it, because I'm just naive. I've never been exposed to it. What other people am I just passing by? What other opportunities and experiences am I just passing by because I'm just unaware? And that's the naivete. That's a roadblock, because that's part of the curiosity part. We need to open up our curiosity. The next one is doubt, where, we're just not sure how to ask. Maybe it wasn't encouraged in our childhoods. We're just sort of that subtle doubt, like this isn't going to go well. There's a great story in there about, how does a young girl ask for love about a woman and her father? Excuses, just people who are too stubborn or proud to do something different, to ask for a new way or to ask for help. And the story we use in there to as an example of that is Mark's brother. He was the most stubborn man we've ever known, and he's a smart guy. But we tell the story of how, Mark dropped him off at the airport, and this is just so typical of Bailey. We had a wonderful time together. He'd gone fishing or panning for gold in Alaska. He's an adventurer and came through Phoenix, stayed 5 days with us. We had a wonderful time. Mark dropped him off at the airport. He said, "Do you need some help? I'll come in. I'll help you get." No, I know what I'm doing. He drops him off. So, he's headed back to Tennessee. It's a long flight, blah, blah, blah. Mark called later that night. "Hey, did Bay get home okay?" And his niece said, "Didn't you hear? Dad's been stuck at the airport. He got stuck at the airport for 13 hours. He couldn't find his gate." Oh my gosh. So, Mark's thinking back on that. Bailey's stubbornness in life. He never would ask, he didn't ask Mark. He didn't call him back. He didn't want to ask him to come back and help him. Didn't want to ask anyone where the gate was. So instead he sat there for all of these hours, got home in the middle of the night, ended up getting a touch of pneumonia from, he got started with a little.
Oh my God.
But that's the type of thing. I mean, and there are so many people like this who are so stubborn. Mm-hmm. They will not ask for help. And that it's so foolish. We are each other's greatest resource. Mm-hmm. And we need to get comfortable with that. So the next one is fear, just absolute sheer terror of rejection, that underlying feeling that we'll somehow lose something by asking. And usually at a subtle level, it's love or approval, because human beings need love so much. And if to some human beings, if we're rejected, it's like you've taken away our, love. And so we need to get past that, because it's not true. It really has nothing to do with us personally. If someone says no, it's because it has everything to do with what's going on with them and nothing to do with you. Right. And so we need to learn to depersonalize that and keep asking, because this is the most important thing we can do. One of the most important things we can do for our success. Next one is pattern paralysis, where our habits just keep us repeating the same disappointing habits and patterns, and we're just not even looking at them anymore. We just get up and do the same every day. And then the last one is disconnection, which for me, Dr. Fred, is the saddest of all, because disconnection means you've literally become numb to your inner truth and you're out of touch with the dreams that are buried in your heart. And that's sad, because we need to awaken our dreams and start to wonder again. What could it be? What would those be? What if we asked? What if we found out? What do those dreams really look like? And if they were to be massively successful and fruitful, what would be the steps we would take to get there? And that's the asking journey. And it's a beautiful journey. So we want to encourage everybody to take the journey with us.
Well, there's a couple. Thanks you, Crystal. That's really such a great synopsis of the seven. What are they? Seven sort of hurdles. The seven things.
Roadblocks. We call them the roadblocks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I'm putting together as we speak this morning is this original premise, this original notion that I barely wrote down, because I think it's the first thing that you said, which is that the universe is remarkably, we live a remarkably well orchestrated life where the universe is prepared to answer our questions if we're willing to ask them. Is that properly stated?
Yes, that's paraphrasing it perfectly. Yes.
Okay. So that's sort of the first place we have to land on together, it seems, in order to get that asking has the value that it is that you're stating it does. That if, this idea that if you ask, you shall receive, or if one asks, that if one doesn't ask, then you can't get what you want, or all the things that stem from this first notion that not only is asking worthwhile, but that the universe and our entire life is remarkably well orchestrated to deliver on those asks. It's sort of, that seems like a little bit of a premise that I know, okay, I know that myself knows that. But do you ever find that people think, no, it isn't? Like, no, it isn't. When I ask, then I don't get. Or when, what's the point of asking at all? And I guess that's what you're saying when you speak of the 7 roadblocks. These are the reasons that people come up with not to ask. to just live with the way things are.
Right, exactly. So it's really becoming aware of those roadblocks and reading the stories of how people recognize those. And because it all starts with awareness, Dr. Fred, when we become aware of something, that is this big wide gate opening up to let us in, because where we've been kept out before. Awareness is everything. So the second you become aware, that gate opens and everything changes and you can walk through it. You can choose to walk through it. And of course, everything comes down to the free will of human beings. I mean, that's the amazing thing about the universe. When you look at scripture, whatever all of the wisdom traditions, asking you shall receive, you have the ability in this life to determine what you want, but it takes your determination. This life, you are not pre-programmed in this life. That's for sure.
Right.
If you choose to give up and not move forward, that will be your choice. And that is exactly what you will attract. But if you choose to have awareness, if you choose to take the journey, if you choose to have some faith, everything in life requires faith. Anything you're going to accomplish or try to accomplish requires faith, because it's asking us to believe in the unseen, right? We're asked to believe in the unseen all the time.
Yeah.
In everything we do. We don't know for sure how anything's ever going to turn out. So life is nothing if it's not a walk of faith. But I truly believe, and I think there's so much profound evidence over and over again, that you will draw to you what you believe in. You will draw to you what you set out, what you seek. Seek and you will find. Okay. But if you don't seek, you won't find it.
Exactly.
You activate your own journey. That's the creator that created this beautiful universe. It's so brilliant and it works. But it has a perfect accounting system. If you sit on the couch, if you say, yeah, I want this, that, and the other thing, but then you sit on the sofa and you never get out there in that quantum soup of happenings and things going on, nothing's going to happen for you. And that's why we need to learn we have a section of the book called Prepare to be a Good Asker. Okay. And that starts with belief. Okay. So belief and trust that the answer is there somewhere waiting for you. So expect it. You have to decide, I'm going to believe. And the minute you make that decision, you just change something in the universe. You just became an attractor field for something to come to you. But if you're deciding to be cynical and say, I don't believe this, that's what you're going to get. And this, you say, well, you can't prove that. There's mountains of proof in anecdotal stories and things, but there's also scientific proof. If you break down quantum physics, right, it's quite amazing. And it gets a little crazy when you start defining quantum physics. But basically, what the observer sees is what is produced at the molecular level, at the level of matter.
Right.
So this is real. This is real, and this works. The second way to prepare to be a good asker is action. We have to keep taking those steps in the direction of our dreams, even if we haven't received all of the answers, because your actions continue to prompt more questions and open up your curiosity. And every time you ask, you just keep asking, you'll see a solution, or a plan will come to your mind, or an illumination will happen. And then you take a step of action. You need to act on that. You thought of someone who has or knows exactly what you want or wanted to do. So you call them, you pick up the phone, you put your asking journey in motion. And by doing that, you connect to other human beings. And that's part of the problem, I think, in our society today. We're so superficially connected, but not really connected. Through the, internet and all the social media, but we need to start connecting as human beings. We need to pick up the phone. We need to call each other. We need to have true friendships and true relationships. And the third part of preparing to be a good asker is visualization. And that's using the power of your imagination to create positive images and feelings around the answers you seek. And what Mark and I say is to imagine your best case scenario. And when you go into that imagination space, Mark and I do this hour of prayer and meditation every morning. And so we talk through things, question things, contemplate things, but we also, imagine, visualize the things that we want to happen. And we say visualize to the nth degree, the perfect scenario. Mm-hmm. Shut off your analytical mind, because your analytical mind sometimes will stop you short. It'll say, oh, you can't do that because of this. It starts analyzing. Just try to quiet that down and just pretend you're making a movie about your perfect life. And imagine every rich detail that you want and what it feels like when you sat at the table with your ideal client and you're both so happy that you completed that, you closed that transaction or made that sale. Whatever it is, you're with the love of your life and you're both, giggling over how you magically came together when you weren't sure if it was going to happen. Whatever it is, you can imagine, create your own movie in your mind and then go backwards and re-engineer it. Mm-hmm. Ask, how did I get here? Who did I talk to? What networking groups did I go to? And start getting out there, putting those steps into action. And I'll tell you, Dr. Fred, it's quite remarkable.
I can get that. I really can. And on the one hand, I like to consider myself sort of above the fracas. Like, oh yeah, thank God I don't have any of these 7 roadblocks in my way. Or it's really great that I have a clue about believing or about, action being an important step in getting things done, or, that I have a negative viewpoint of my own sense of reticence or hesitancy or complacency. And I really know better than to do all that stuff. And, oh yeah, I should quiet my analytical mind, and don't forget to pray for an hour a day. And, to sit and imagine a future, like really live into a visioned future of something that not only works, but is beyond my wildest dreams, even beyond that, and really what it is it'll be like to be in this world that, and you know what, sometimes, Crystal, that stuff just doesn't work at all. I mean, there are really moments in the day where my level of what's the point or why bother, or, I mean, and I have a life that's, I also have been blessed with a spectacular life, and as shown, in fact, by you and I speaking right at this very moment, it's some kind of life to get to where both of us are at this moment. Oh, and then it's like the drag or the pull or the sort of what appears to be the reality is, Fred, man, what's the point? Like that's a place for me every morning that I notice I feel like a failure when I wake up in the morning and I'm really asking, oh, really? I have to do this again? I mean, there's a part of me that's like that for a moment, right? At least for a moment. It's like, really? I thought this would be over by now or something. And then by getting in connection with wonderful people that I have in my circle, or by just beginning to, get up and drink my water, or I have celery juice every morning, or loving my partner, my beloved Alexandra, or, like really, my really starting to look at the world and what's here to be had in the world, and then resparking my curiosity and resparking my wonder that I think was here with little Freddie back when I was born. Somehow the day unfolds where I'm like, holy cow, is this life completely and magically enchanted? All like it's really here to go in whatever direction I direct it into. It's amazing. It truly is.
Isn't that beautiful? And so I'm so glad you brought that up, Fred, because that is life. Life is a journey. It has all these vicissitudes. And we need to understand that if we accept that, like, I'm going to feel like crap some days. We all do. I mean, no matter how much information and knowledge and insight, like deep insight, I feel so thankful that I have deep insights that guide me. But I'm still a human being. Like you said, you wake up, oh, things happen, you get down, the news, all this negative stuff coming in on the media. And you can get deflated in your excitement. But that's exactly when you need to go back to that place, that time with yourself, and start. And one of the greatest ways one of the things we do is do, a gratitude meditation or do some gratitude journaling. Because at those times you have to stop and say, and that's part of the law of attraction. That's part of attracting everything back to you, is recognizing what you already have. Because if you don't start with that, it doesn't matter what you accomplish, you'll never feel happy about it. You'll never feel any happier if you don't have the ability to feel gratitude, to express gratitude, because more isn't going to make you more, recognize more what you have. So that's an important practice, is to start with look at your own body. I'm so thankful I have these feet and hands and eyes. There are people who are blind, who have lost their feet. I am so happy that I can talk, that I can express, that I can think. There are people who have horrible brain injuries. I am so thankful that I can get up every day and walk out in a free country and express myself. There are people who will be murdered if they try to do that, in other countries. I have it better than most people. I'm so thankful I can get in a shower. I have it better than billions of people in the world right this minute, just because of the fact that I can turn on a faucet, get in the shower, and feel that beautiful water cascading down my body, And so if you spend time relishing every little thing, oh my gosh, all of a sudden you feel like the luckiest, most blessed, happiest person in the world.
Right.
And we just don't take the time to do it enough, because, it's that balance between, and I look at it as a circle. Like half of the circle is gratitude, recognizing what you have. And the other balance of the circle is moving forward and wanting more. If we just keep wanting more, wanting different, then we'll never feel happiness. But if we can balance that on the other side with tremendous gratitude for everything, a friend that you can sit and talk with, look in their eyes, laugh with them, tell jokes. I mean, it's magical. Those are the things we need to remember as human beings. We have to be human, and we can't just have agendas, and it's got to be about relishing in the moment. It's like the book, The Power of Now. You have this moment, and what is it in this moment that is absolutely fantastic?
That's fabulous. I am left at this next stop, and so let's see if you're willing to take this leap with me. It's not too big of a leap. One of the things that I've been dealing with even this week, as I just bumble and stumble and stride through this incredible world of ours, is that I am not my circumstances. Like I don't have to equate myself with like measuring how I'm doing based on what I see going on around me isn't always a very useful exercise. So on the other hand, there is something about, I'm creating how I see this world, the circumstances around me. Like when I look and I see something that is disturbing or even hair-raising, atrocious, heinous, unspeakable or unacceptable in some sort of way to my own self, that's a place where I can go with, some level of a helplessness or some level of resignation. And then I also get, there's a new thing that's happening for me this time around, maybe with this, with the emergence of this so-called outbreak that we've had, is that opinions of others can also be like mass opinion of large groups of people that I am then presented with, that millions of people think this, or those 100,000s of people think that, or this is the new way to look at this issue, or, that circumstance can also be drowning for me, can seem like it's drowning. Like, wow, I don't want to talk because I don't want to be squashed. I guess that's, hurdle number maybe hurdle number 5, maybe fears or something, or paralysis. I'm not sure. I really have to fight back hard to get in touch with this self of mine that really wants things to be beautiful. And then I fear that if I get what I want, then it's really going to hurt when it's taken away.
Yeah, no, it's very challenging right now for all of us. We are being put through probably obviously the biggest challenges, multiple, that any of us have ever experienced in our lifetime. It's testing us. It's testing us deeply at the core. And I think what we need to do is step back from it and pull the camera lens back and really look at it at the 100,000 foot level. You have to understand that everything that is happening right now, everything is very politically motivated. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about our current environment is political campaigns used to be run by, little special interest groups or this little group of people. Now they're run by corporations. Mm-hmm. So our political divides are being enhanced and exacerbated by gigantic funding from big corporations who have taken one side or the other. Mm-hmm. And so the fallout is so extreme because when there's money behind something, it becomes more intense, more orchestrated, more whatever. And so it leaves each human feeling so helpless, like what has happened to life as we know it, where two people could disagree on an issue and still be friends. There is this driving polarization that is driven by media, which is run by corporations. And I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying the corporations, they drive this now, and they drive this polarity. And the saddest thing about this polarity is it serves no one, because honestly, if you grabbed a big group of people and you sat down together in a big, gigantic living room and you just talked heart to heart with each and every person, when it comes right down to it, we probably all want the same things. We want to be safe. We want our families to be safe. We want an opportunity to do well, to grow, to expand. But, as this corporate money gets involved, it just drives these divisions so deep and so intense that it feels like, we're becoming a shadow of ourselves, but we can't let that happen.
Can't let that happen.
As individuals, we need to show our humanity. If we see something, some driving message that just doesn't seem okay, then we need to give the counter message, not in an attack, but in a message of love. How can this be okay? We need to, here's what a loving, compassionate human being does. And everything's become identity politics. And that's a lie too, because quite honestly, like I said, most of us are so much closer in reality to the things we want than we are apart. But when we say, if you vote for this person, you are that person.
Right.
And you're horrible because that person's horrible. Or if you vote for this other person, you're that person. Mm-hmm. And you are horrible because you vote for that person. You become that person. Mm-hmm. And those are lies. Those are lies that we're all buying into. We need to stop buying into the lies. I'm not either of these candidates, and I never will be. I have certain values, and maybe one or the other of those candidates speaks to more of a set of my values than the other one. Mm-hmm. And it's just about the things I value, but other people have the right to value certain things that are valuable to them, and they can pick the candidate that they feel most represents. No candidate is ever, it's always been said, you're choosing the best of the worst, or the best of two evils, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anyone's evil. I'm just saying, stop the identity politics. Mm-hmm. Let's be human beings. Let's let each other have a voice. Let's show as much kindness as we can. And let's stop all the hate rhetoric on both sides. I mean, no one's going to win in this environment. And we're letting these big corporate dollars divide us, and it's sad. It's so, so sad. Yeah. And they're saying even other countries are getting in on the fun, because they don't want our success. Countries like China and Iran and countries that really want us to fall apart. They want us to be divided, because then they can do things, China's already setting up, and I don't mean to get too political here, but China's setting up more bases right on the border of India, and they're harassing India, the poor Indians. Why do they need that? They're just trying to live their lives. But, so some of these countries are not our friend and don't share any of our values. So we need to understand they're getting in on this. They're funding some of this. behind the scenes. It's crazy. And we're letting ourselves be used. I'm just telling everybody, stop the hatred. Let's be as kind as we can, no matter what side anyone is on. Let's look for the humanity and the things we have in common. And let's look for the positive ways we can, bring our country back from this terrible COVID thing. I mean, it's going to go away. We're going to heal and we're going to have new opportunities. And we need to start thinking about those things. We've realized we don't want all of our medical supplies and other things controlled by other countries who don't have our best interest at heart. So how can we participate in these new job opportunities? We should be talking about that.
Right.
Supply chains and manufacturing. There are great opportunities on the horizon, but yet we're just in these big street fights and it's crazy. Let's stay together. Let's be together.
Well, amen to that, Crystal. I couldn't be more aligned with what you're putting forth there, and I really appreciate your display of your own passion and emotions with respect to what's going on out there, or what we are being told is going on, which probably doesn't really represent what's going on, and how we're being told and how it's being fed to us, and what we collectively or we as individuals are kind of forced to metabolize in a way that still can result in beauty and kindness as a way of responding is a challenge beyond which I've never experienced anything that even rivals this level of challenge to my purpose and my soul. And so thanks for touching base on that during this interview. It's really quite beautiful. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Dr. Fred. I appreciate it. And, in the book, Ask, we say there are 3 channels through which to ask, and that is ask yourself, ask others, and ask God. And I think if we all start to take that asking journey a little bit more, ask ourselves reflectively, does this make any sense? And where do I want to go with my life? What do I want to be a part of that's good? How can I create something that enhances our life, our world, our country? Those things matter. And then ask others, how can I help you? How can I be of assistance? Is there some way you could help me? Can we help each other? And then ask God, what is my role in this kingdom purpose? We're all here together. It's not about any one of us individually. So we need to realize that, asking God, what is my purpose in this? What is my purpose in the kingdom? What is my purpose in the universe? What would you have me do that I could make the most positive difference possible? What is my greatest expression for which you made me? And I think that's my favorite question to God.
Say it again. So what is my
greatest purpose for which you made me? Because we all have a different one. Every one of us has a different assignment. And I think my daughter is a school teacher. And, when schools are still in session, she teaches special education. And she often talked about this amazing janitor. He's the kindest man. She said, Mom, he's the kindest man you have ever met. He would go out of his way to check in with the teachers. What do you need? He would stay late and build special little things because the teachers often are, underfunded or whatever. They just need extra things. And he would go out of his way to do those special things, make sure their classrooms were well taken care of. They had the little extra things they need or things fixed. And, when you give back value, wherever you are, wherever you're planted, if you can focus on giving maximum value, the science of getting rich says, you will receive that value back,
multifold
in capital value, multiplied, because so for this beautiful man, you couldn't know these teachers can't do enough for him. The school, he's given gift cards and restaurant cards and gifts. He's showered with abundance all the time beyond what he would ever make, in his salary. And people are so happy to give. And that's just a beautiful example of the value wheel. We should all be asking ourselves, what value can I give? How can I give more value than I expect in capital return? Because if I do that, the universe just responds. And you may not even get the value back for exactly what you're doing. He's not getting paid to build those extra things, but he's getting back paid in love. This goodwill that he's creating is flowing back to him. So how can we put out that tremendous value so that we can create this beautiful flow of goodness and goodwill and abundance for all of us?
Beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. One of the things I'm getting in touch with as you speak is that there's a space for me, and I probably am speaking for a few of the listeners as well, which is it isn't a matter of trying to get to where you're telling us to go, where you're like, how can I, it's time to alter the way I look at the world, or the way what drives my actions, the context of, what are the contexts? How can I shift my context so that who I am is a kind contribution, or who I am is listening, who I am is assisting, who I am is of service, who I am is, making a difference the way God wants me to, and, loving the people that are around me and the people who they love. And, how is it that I can find that space? One of the things that I know I have to go through, Crystal, in order to have that happen is there's some degree of surrender. There's some degree of giving up on the things that I thought really, really mattered to me. It really mattered to me what his, political opinion was, or it really mattered to me what it used to be. It mattered to me what baseball team they liked. It used to, it's like, if you like that team, I can't like you. It's like, we can't be friends. If you're a, I'm I don't know, the Red Sox and the Yankees, for instance. If you like the Red Sox, well then, yeah, I guess that's it for us, and it's now gotten a little bit, of course, quite a bit deeper. And the level of violence and vehemence between people for believing what they believe has become really, really amplified astronomically. And there's something like, what if I gave up on all the things that I thought really mattered to me, and really got that what you're talking about today is the only thing that matters? It seems to me that there's a renewal available in why I live life if I'm willing to surrender the old things that I thought mattered to me.
I believe that is the changer, the life changer, exactly what you said, Fred. When you surrender, when you're able to surrender and just say, I'm not going to pick sides, because that's polarization. I am going to surrender to love. And not to sound like, oh, it's the big hippie, love fest. Love is a very real thing.
For
I
sure.
am going to surrender to loving, deliberately, intentionally loving this day, intentionally loving this life around me, intentionally loving the people around me. And I don't need to pick sides. And if you think about, I believe, our universe is full of contrasts. I mean, there's dark and light, there's day and night, and I think there is good, and I think there's evil. So if you say, what would the ultimate evil be? It would be us trying to destroy one another.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the line that we're creeping toward. We're trying to destroy one another for having a thought that we don't like someone to have, or an opinion that we don't like someone else to have. And it's just pitting us against each other with this intense anger. And so if we just decide to surrender all of those righteous positions,
Mm-hmm.
I'm right, you're wrong. And if you're wrong, I'm going to destroy you. And that is what it's come to.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we just said, I'm going to surrender my righteous positions. I'm going to be a force for good, for love. I'm going to be a beacon for love and light and good. And wherever I see hatred, I'm just going to give, an alternative of a loving thought,
Mm-hmm.
or a loving option. And we live our lives like that, because this division is what will destroy us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's beyond effort and trying, right? It's not something like, okay, I should remember what Crystal and Fred said. Well, maybe if that works for you to land here, then by all means, please remember and keep it very close to your heart and use this whenever possible. But isn't it? It's kind of like in a way of being rather than a memory of what should I do now. There's an honest to goodness all in surrender, so that I can be taken back to my curiosity and wonder that was been there with little Freddie forward. And it's a way of being rather than a recipe. What do you have to say about that?
Dr. Fred, I think you were spot on. It is a way of being. It's deciding every day you're going to wake up and embrace all the wonder around you. Embrace that you are going to create beauty all around you, right where you stand. You're going to see beauty. You're going to recognize there's beauty all around you. We just haven't been seeing it. But if evil had a name, that's what evil would want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Evil would want us to stop seeing every good thing and only see darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we giving into it?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just declare that we're going to see light? We're going to see goodness around us. We're going to seek goodness. We're going to be goodness. We're going to be love. We're going to be light. And we're going to make good plans, positive plans, productive plans. And I think we will see that life takes on a whole new color and verve.
Mm-hmm. Right. I appreciate that very much. One of the, a few weeks ago, I do a fair amount of thinking, I guess. And a few weeks ago, I was like, if you really want to know the secret of mastering reality, it's like, don't stay in any one of them too long. And don't stay in any particular reality too long. There's an opportunity to step out and really see beyond abundant beauty of everything that's here, including the things that are intolerable. Even that has its quality of being beautiful. Like the challenges that we're taking on, if you can see them as a beautiful opportunity to really come true with what matters to be here as humans, well then, that's a beautiful feature of life. Thank goodness for the challenge that I get to now get, that I want to be with Alexandra, that I want to spend my days making sure that her and I take steps forward every day. And if it seems like before this challenge, that was just something I didn't have quite this level of commitment towards. But now it's like, no, we're gonna live together. We're gonna bring love everywhere. We're gonna work together. We're gonna understand and tolerate, not only accept, but grow together. These are things that in this challenge, I am finding to really amplify those things that really, really matter about being alive as humans.
Right. There's an opportunity here, Dr. Fred, just like you were saying, what you're talking about, a great opportunity here for all of us to grow and become better than ever. If we stay focused on our beingness, what being in this state of being that is love, that is curiosity, that is wonder, that isn't about self-righteous positioning. I am right and you are wrong. That is the worst thing you can do. We need to observe everything that's going on around us, choose the love, choose every piece of goodness that we can bring, every piece of light, encourage others, talk to others with love and good intentions. And one person at a time, we can change it. If everyone got into a newer state of consciousness, I truly believe that higher state of being it's like turning on a light when you're in a dark room. All you have to do is flip on the light. The dark is gone. The dark is gone. It doesn't gradually disappear. It's like, boom, every corner is filled with light. So what if we all just turn on our light all at once?
Really something. That's really something. It feels like that's all that's left to do. Sometimes. That's it. Let's go. That's it. I can't turn on all your lights together, but what if? It's almost like the ultimate inoculation from what we're attempting to be infected by comes from all of us turning on this light and stepping up into what really matters about our humanity. And that ultimately would vaccinate us, dare I say, from that which is at least appearing to attempting to affect us, to infect us. And I pray and hope, and you're right. I am me, you are you. I indeed have some dominion over how I live my next minute. And there's an opportunity for me to be loving and wondrous and curious in the world around me, and bringing the greater good to each and every interaction I have with humans and really even the entire earth, or the entire universe. that can and does alter the world. It really does, and a manifestation way. So, gosh, I really appreciate this conversation.
Well, thank you, Dr. Fred. I appreciate you having me on and for the two of us being able to discuss this together, because I think we're able to elevate each other and hopefully in some way elevate the people listening, so we can all go out there together and just be like a beacon of light and create a better future together.
Amen. Again, I, with all due respect, it's not a smooth ride. It's not necessarily easy. And, allowing for, I guess my concern is that people say, I don't feel like Fred and Crystal do. Maybe that's just Fred and Crystal. They got magic lives. I don't have it. It's like, oh my goodness. Do I get that? Oh my goodness. And I don't even know how to get that across, that I really get that. That's part of this, is that, like, having that and getting that is why it's even more important to get this, like, really to step forward, continue to step forward. We really understand. We really agree, or maybe not agree, but really can resonate with the helplessness that is here to be had. But inside of that is exactly the fuel necessary, or the fuel available to make this world, to come through this with a transformation of, come through each and every day with a transformation of of the beauty, of the exquisite beauty of what it is to be a human being right now, right here.
Amen. And one last thing I want to say, one thing I've always taught as a transformational life coach is, while it appears that life is happening outside of you, you're seeing all this stuff coming at you, this bad news, and, it's like you're ducking and dodging and trying to keep all the balls up in the air. The reality is your life is created from the inside out. Mm-hmm. The less you focus on what's going on out there to get your direction for moving forward, and the more you bring it inside and start to make your own creation, so it requires shutting that stuff down. You can't keep listening to that again and again, because just like we talked about the imagination, you listening to that 24/7, this 24/7 diet that we're being, our phones are going off and everyone's crazy right now. We just have to shut that off a little bit, because it's almost like we're imagining exactly the opposite of what we want. And if we're imagining it, we're creating it at some level. We're creating it. So our experience of life, you go, well, you can't say those things aren't happening. They are. You can't change that. But you don't have to experience it that way. Mm-hmm. You can experience it completely differently if you shut that off and deliberately decide that you're going to create your experience from the inside out. Mm-hmm. By visualizing all these great things, by focusing on the positive, by using gratitude, and really moving forward this journey. It takes deliberate effort. It doesn't happen on its own, because remember, you're in charge. You have free will. You get to make this life experience the way you want it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, Crystal, I'm quite certain my listeners are going to want to learn how they can learn more about you, the ones who don't already know you, and those people who want to follow you, or those people who just want to see what you're up to, or maybe join forces with you, or connect or communicate with you. How would my listeners be able to get in touch with you after this radio show or after this podcast moving forward?
Sure. I would love that, Dr. Fred, because I love to be a support to people. I find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn at Crystal Dwyer. It's Dwyer, Crystal Dwyer Hansen. YouTube as well. I've got some videos up there that are helpful if people are needing some direction in different areas. My website is crystalvisionlife.com. And then I'd like to encourage everybody to get the book. It's on Amazon. It's called Ask: The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. Mm-hmm. And we're inviting everybody. We're going to do like a giant book club discussion, because we want to support people. There's no cost to participating in the book club discussion. But if you once you buy the book, if you just go to the URL askthebookclub.com and sign up for the book club, we will reach out to you. And when we've given, the book was just released about a month ago, so we're giving everybody a chance to read it. But we're going to have this massive book club, and we're going to do it every so often, so that we can support people at no cost, just to keep this asking journey going. We want to keep people uplifted and motivated. So the book is Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny on Amazon. And then after you get it, just go to askthebookclub.com and join the book club if you'd like to be a part of it. And we'll let you know what the schedule is. We'll send you an invitation.
Terrific. Awesome. Well, that's just great, Crystal. Well, it indeed has been a magical ride for this last hour. It's been beautiful to be with you. It's been beautiful to tap on what matters to you. Thank you for being as beautiful of a person as you are, and for just representing humanity as well as you do. Simple and extraordinary. And really, each and every one of us has all of this embedded in our reality. Like, really, that's what's here. And so I say that to you, and I think I say that to myself, and I say that to the listeners, that the level of inspiration that one feels when listening to you is something that was already here to be had. So thank you for tapping on mine and tapping on my listeners to bring forth that level of, possibility. So really, really awesome. Thank you.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Fred. Such a pleasure to be with you.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's it for today. Welcome to Humanity, listeners. We'll check you on the next one, but my goodness, how great was this conversation? This conversation today was with Crystal Dwyer Hansen, and she's up to so much. And, have a beautiful day. Like, really, each and every one of us, what's here to be had right now, like right this very second, is to turn whatever you're doing into a beautiful day, a beautiful example of what it means to be a human on earth right here, right now. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a good time. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in today. How amazing is this Crystal Dwyer Hansen? I mean, this is a woman of the world who is here every second, and every step she takes is with love and grace. And what a contribution she is to all of humanity. And she's up to so much in the world along with her husband. My goodness, they've already touched thousands, tens of thousands, maybe millions of lives, and they're not slowing down now. What an inspiration. Maybe as you were listening, you thought of a person, a friend, a colleague, or maybe a family member who really would benefit from hearing this episode. So give them a call and invite them to listen and to subscribe to the Welcome to Humanity podcast. And speaking of subscribing, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button on your own podcast player. That way I can get you the latest episodes as they become available. And if you appreciate what we're doing here, go ahead and take a few minutes and leave a good review. Subscribes and reviews are the two best ways we reach listeners with the Welcome to Humanity podcast. If the conversations we have here move you and contribute to your life, please pay it forward by subscribing and leaving a review. I'd be truly grateful for that support. And to catch up with past episodes, head right on over to welcometohumanity.net/podcast. Until next time, this is Dr. Fred, and it's been another Welcome to Humanity podcast. Welcome to your life. Welcome to humanity. Thanks for listening, folks. Bye for now.